So in addition to zooming in on our healthy and informed social media content mix, we have a few special guests today. We have one of our very own customers guest starring, and so she's going to join us to talk through how she's built her social program and uses content to engage her bank's audience. So we're going to introduce her in a second. But first, you guys know the drill. Let's talk through some housekeeping items. So as always, we are recording this session. We're going to share it out via email after this webinar, and we'll also post it on our Help Center on YouTube for our customers and everybody else to access. And then second, we highly encourage that you ask questions. No question is stupid. We love to answer questions. So make sure if you have any questions, send them through the chat or through the Q&A. And Nola, who you're going to meet in a second, is going to help us moderate those chats. So like I said, we've got somebody else very exciting to introduce. So I've mentioned Nola. She's just joined the Denim social team as our VP of strategy. She's got crazy knowledge on not only social media, but in her previous life, she built, I don't want to steal your thunder, Nola, but you built an entire social selling program for like thousands of users. So again, go ahead. I would love for you to come in and say hi to everybody.
Sure. I'm super excited to virtually meet all of you. And thanks, Taylor, Connor, and team for giving me a slice of time here to introduce myself. I'm one of the newest members of the Denim team, but Taylor kind of alluded to how I got here. I'm also based in Des Moines along with Taylor. And yes, it is snowy behind me. I don't think you can see it, but I'm bracing for weird weather. But yeah, I joined Denim last week, but I've been connected with Denim for a super long time. I spent 12 years of my career at Nationwide, kind of becoming an insurance expert and then becoming a social selling expert. So I spent over half of my career at Nationwide building what is now the PNC social selling program there. And I'm a social selling nerd. So I supported over 3,000 insurance agents understanding what social media means for their business. And I'm super excited to join the Denim team because now I get to apply that expertise to all of you and become a strategic guide for our clients. And so I'm excited to start building those resources and start sitting in on conversations and just lending that experience to help you all see success with your programs. So very excited about that. Separate from that, I've been in social media as in general for over 10 years as well. And I actually manage the social presence for my family's business, which is actually a cookie business. So completely opposite from financial services, but doing that helps me stay relevant in social in general. And then it helps me kind of tweak that into how that can come to life to financial services. So that means a lot of time in TikTok right now, which is a whole other story, which I'm sure is a separate webinar. So we'll get to that later, but Taylor and Connor have allowed me to be the MC. So I will be here just observing the discussion that happens, and I will weigh in where I can, and I will be monitoring your questions. If you have any for me specifically, by all means, put them in the chat, but I'll be watching those and we'll answer them, I think, closer to the end. If anything urgent pops up, I'll interrupt you, Taylor and Connor, if it's relevant in the moment. But yeah, nice to meet you all. Excited to be a Denimite. Excited to learn more about you all, and I'm happy to share more about me as you'd like, but this is not the Nola show. This is your webinar. So I will hand it back over to Taylor and Connor to kick it off.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nola. We are so pumped to have Nola. I don't know if anybody's had a Thelma's treat, like a cookie before, but if you haven't, you got to go try it. Snickerdoodle is my favorite. Everybody has their favorite. I just learned from Nola. You told me that the Snickerdoodle is the original recipe, which we love. I love it.
Yes. And I love that you would watch the Nola show, Rihanna. You're just so kind. And thank you, Jill. Yes, that is their original. And Taylor is a fangirl because she lives in Des Moines where we're headquartered. So we can talk about cookies as a separate webinar as well sometime.
I love it. Awesome. Thanks, Nola. So we are going to introduce ourselves. It looks like Karey might have had some network issues, so I think she's trying to get back on. But I'll introduce myself first for those of you that don't know me. I am Taylor Hansen, Director of Customer Experience here at Denim Social. And I work with all of our clients. A lot of them manage social on behalf of their brands and hundreds of producers. So it's my goal to make sure that our customer base is always getting the most value out of the product and educated on the latest and greatest happenings at Denim Social. And I partner with our marketing team and all of our teams to make sure that you guys are getting what you need. But yeah, so our marketing team does a great job of pulling together all of this educational content for you guys. So that leads me to Connor, who's our marketing manager. Connor, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I'm Connor. I'm the marketing manager here at Denim Social. I manage our social media pages and assist the team with whatever marketing or content needs they might have.
Thanks, Connor. And I'm going to introduce Karey. Again, I think she's having trouble getting on. I'm just double checking to make sure she's not kicked off. Karey Wilson is our guest star today. She is from First Capital Bank, and she's in charge of all of their marketing and social media. She actually built their social program from scratch, and she's rolled it out, and she is in charge of all the content as well. So I'd love for her to introduce herself. Oh, I see you're popping on. Karey, can you hear us? There she is. Yay. Just in time, Karey. Can you hear me? We might keep moving if Karey's going to have some technical difficulties here for a minute. So Connor, I'm going to kick it over to you if that's okay. And then we might have Karey introduce herself once we get started later.
Yeah, thank you, Taylor. So I thought we could just start off by laying the foundation down and talking about why content matters and just the overall strategy of why we put content out there and why we're present on social as brands. When you're creating content, you should always keep this larger picture in mind. So everything you put out there on social media should always tie back to your organization's values and goals. And you've got to align social media with overall business aims so that it's doing the work that you need it to do. It's not like a separate thing, but it's really part of an organization's marketing strategy and relates directly to goals for the business. And more, we're going to see customers looking to social media to find financial services. So definitely remember, it's very much an extension of your brand. So before jumping into actually creating content, it's good to take some time to actually assess your brand. What are the values and themes you want to communicate? What does the voice of the brand sound like? What images or colors will you use, and so on. So just like a few things here to think about: goals. So think about how each piece of content will drive your business forward. And different content can definitely have different goals, but it should all tie into something bigger. And then purpose. So as we will see, building content can provide different elements to your social media strategy, but keep it all in line with that purpose and always be adding value to your customers with what you're putting out there. And then lastly, think about your audience. So great content is content that will make your desired customers pay attention and want to follow along and learn more about you and your brand. And you can even create personas or listen to what people are saying online and what they care about and maybe what they want to see. And just remember that you're always communicating directly with them through social media. And then just a little bit more on why content matters. You know, like I said, it can really make a difference in how your business performs and also how you build relationships with customers. So we're always kind of trying to solve a problem with social media content, and the success on social media will largely depend on the success of the content you post. So when you're producing effective, high-performing content, you can also face some challenges. You know, it's competitive, it can be time consuming to create, but it should add value to your customer experience. So thanks to platforms like Denim Social, you can overcome these hurdles a little bit easier. and your content strategy can begin to include a more varied mix of content type. And to create this kind of content that will have a lasting impact on your entire audience, you can align it with goals that address different consumer needs. And the best way to do that is to aim for a good content mix, like we're going to talk about. So that means creating a variety of content that will address those different goals, so you're able to connect with your entire audience for any need they might have.
Love that, Connor. So thanks for setting the stage for us today. Some of you guys might recognize this from last month's webinar. Hopefully you were there. If you weren't, we discussed this new healthy and informed social media feed concept. So this is really a formula to make sure that you're mixing up your social media feeds. So using this as a structure and kind of a guide is really going to help you better support your social efforts and just help you know how to keep moving forward. Just a little quick refresher before we get into kind of the bulk of the conversation. We really want to start with posting from a variety of sources. Then make sure you're listening to conversations and trends that are happening in the industry and on social, and you're being flexible and adaptable, and always be willing to pivot. Analyze and adjust what's going on, because you can't just set it and forget it with your posting strategy. You've always got to keep up and make sure you've got the right mix that's working for you. So let's zoom in on the top one.
Yeah, so today we're focusing on the main tenet of our Denim social posting strategy. Having that really solid base of content will be the key to your social media strategy. And not only should you have that variety of sources that you're pulling content from, you should also be posting consistently and often to keep everybody engaged and aware of what you're doing. So we're about to see some great examples from our customers about how to get that best mix of content and what they do to keep things interesting. So with that, let's take a look at those 3 types of sources for crafting content to keep your feed informed and healthy.
Awesome. Yeah, so let's talk about it a little bit. There's not a perfect mix, okay? What you see on the screen here is based on what we see within the financial services industry. We see these across our customer base. So if you do 111, 221, one industry, one brand, one personal every week, that's great. If you do 2 industry, 2 brand, and 1 personal community per week, that's great too. Just make sure that that content mix is really aligning with your goals, like I said, and make sure it's what it works for you. And if it's not, then pivot, right? Analyze and adjust. No matter what you post, make sure there's a call to action. So, visit your website, click on a link, tell them to engage with the post, like ask them questions. Pair your content that you're posting with this action so that they'll engage with it and it'll gain more traction, and your posting efforts will be all that much more worth it, right? So you should always be moving your audience toward a goal. So Karey, it looks like you're back. Hi, are you muted? Can we hear you? I think I can, there you are.
Okay.
Hi.
Apparently the space bar wasn't working.
That's okay. So I want to ask you how you approach content mix, but I gave you a really quick intro. I'd love for you to give your introduction to everybody. Let them know what you do.
Sure. Well, sorry I missed that earlier. Apparently my connection dropped, but my name is Karey Wilson and I'm with First Capital Bank out of Charleston, South Carolina. I've been in banking for 15 years and done a variety of things. I have been with First Capital for the last 3 years. One of the things I will go ahead and tell you all, I am not a full-time financial marketer by any means. So I'm not in advertising formally. I'm not a marketer formally. It just happens to be that with my breadth of knowledge, I was able to serve on a social media team at a previous bank and was an integral part in launching that social media program. And that kind of just paved the way for me here at First Capital. When I got here, we were brand new to the Charleston market. There was no social media presence of any kind. So that just kind of paved the way for me to build the social media program, including the policy. We organized a social media committee of a few people that had interest in marketing kind of functions, as well as compliance. And then we were able to take that committee and social media initiatives. And initially it was just kind of in-house, and we had a clunky process for how we should post and when we should post and that kind of thing. So in 2020, we saw a real need for a platform that not only gave us the regulatory requirement of monitoring and reporting, but it also allowed us to better facilitate our internal controls with how we post and what we post. So Denim Social has allowed us to, post to multiple channels very easily. And the added bonus is that content mix, which we'll talk about a little later. But that's a little bit about me and, why it's a good partnership with Denim Social and how they help us achieve our social media goals.
Thanks, Karey. We're so happy you're here, and I want to dig in more. So again, would love for you to talk a little bit more about how you approach that content mix and what you like to focus on, et cetera.
Sure. So all of these pieces that Denim Social has brought up, industry, brand, and personal community, are all really important and very relevant pieces of our strategy. I will say that as far as industry goes, that's important for education for our customers, as well as providing them, financial literacy type things. And I think we'll dig into all of this a little bit later, but brand is super important as well. And that's a key component of our strategy. But I'll say the big part of our strategy is really the personal community. And you wouldn't think so initially, but it certainly has grown to be our most successful piece of our strategy. Therefore, that's where we're putting a lot of our effort, and we'll get more into that later.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you. We have kind of a few different customers that we're going to focus on First Capital. Karey, your content strategy, amazing. We've also pulled in another customer who wasn't able to join us today. But BOK, Bank of Oklahoma, they take a few different approaches, just like Karey. They have actual regional teams that manage their regional pages, and also producers within each region that post to their pages. So they mix it up also across the different types. And they definitely, similar to Karey, focus on engaging their audience with that localized content. And then they sprinkle in some of that industry and brand. So very similar, but you'll kind of see as we go through the specific types or the specific examples, how they kind of start to shift and change, and you'll kind of see how other people do it. So Connor, can we kind of kick it off into the different types?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Taylor, and thanks, Karey, for being here to contribute. So the first content type we're going to look at is brand information. And this is really just the who, what, when, where, why of your business. And the overall purpose of this is to give your audience and customers insight into what your business does and why it does. And it's the place for bragging rights on what makes you superior to maybe your competitors. And Karey, now I'm just going to turn it back to you so you can talk about a couple of your brand information posts.
Yeah, Karey.
Sure. So a couple of the examples that you see on the screen, the first one is pretty obvious. It's an advertisement. So anytime that we run print ads or internet ads through our local news channels or our local advertising channels, we find it relevant to go ahead and post those on our social media as well. We don't formally use the advertising function of our social media because from a compliance standpoint, we don't feel like we're ready to quite dig into that, but it's definitely a key part of anybody's strategy is to use advertising. But we take our pre-made advertising and go ahead and post it on social media as just another way to get the word out. So the ad's already done, we post it, boom, there you go. We have another channel to share that. One of the other things that you see on the screen is a press release, and press releases are really important to us as well, because it kind of gives a overview about who we are as a bank, where we're headed, And it allows our customers and followers to understand who we are, what our business goals are, and how they, can engage with us. From a brand standpoint too, we also share, in addition to the press releases, we share corporate information. Oftentimes we show our services. So maybe we do a little piece on our mobile app and how to use our mobile app. So that's part of our brand as well. Also, a big piece of this is marketing guidelines. So we partnered with an advertising firm that gave us some marketing guidelines, and those kind of just cohesively, you can't really see it on here necessarily, but it's fonts, it's colors, it's logos. It allows us to use that marketing guideline as a cohesive piece of our social media. So everything kind of looks the same, feels the same, and that goes right into our brand.
Awesome. Thanks, Karey. I'm going to go ahead and run through what another customer, like I said, Be Okay. Again, weren't able to make it today to join us, but like I said, she's got a little bit of a different posting strategy. So they kind of take a two-pronged approach with their branch pages. And of course, they encourage all of their social sellers or their producers to post on their pages as well. So you can see kind of both of those examples from a brand perspective. So, on the first one, they're kind of showing how they make the mortgage lending process simple for their customers. And then in the second one, they're talking about just all the different options that they offer. So, how they distinguish themselves from, through their offerings in the industry. Also, I think by looking at these posts, you can not only see their products and services, but I also feel like it kind of reflects their values. So, different types of products and services that they're showing, but, there's the family in the photo, and then there's, finding your dream home. So I feel like, they do a good job of branding as well. Awesome. Connor, I'm going to kick it back to you to talk about some industry knowledge.
Yeah, and those were some really great examples of brand information from Karey and Bank of Oklahoma. So lots of options there to give audience your info. But so this type of content is industry knowledge. And with this, your organization can position itself as a thought leader in your industry and bring educational value to your customers. It's also a great opportunity for agents, advisors, or other employees to show their own expertise and contribute to social media. So really think about what kind of information would add value to your customers and what they're going to need to know or what they can learn from you. So Karey, gonna toss it back to you to talk about some of your industry content.
I'm just going to touch on one of the things Connor said. So when your employees are also spotlighting their knowledge, they're helping inform their specific customers as well. And it just kind of allows you to, when you share that kind of knowledge, you're positioning yourself in like, hey, we know this information, we can be very helpful to our audience. But specifically, the two that you see on the screen, I'll start with the one on the right. It's an article about fraud. And so that's actually a self-sourced article that we found. Actually, one of our employees found it, passed it along, said, hey, I think this is helpful advice. Let's post this. So that's oftentimes how we get some of those self-sourced articles is people are finding them for us, or we're finding them and then we're saving them. But that just kind of allows us to educate our customers on, hey, look, these are the fraud trends that are happening right now, and this is how you can prevent these from happening to you. And so between cybersecurity and financial literacy, those are our two biggest areas of industry knowledge. The one on the left is actually a American Bankers Association campaign called Banks Never Ask That, and they have a plethora of content that they provide. I think it's during the month of October. And they give you all of the marketing pieces that you need to make the campaign successful. So it's really turnkey in the sense of, if this is not something that you do on a day-to-day basis, if social media is only one of the many hats you wear, this is super, super easy, turnkey things that you can post online that are already pre-done. You literally just sign up to do the campaign, you post, you go into their marketing library, you find the posts that you want to use, and you literally plug and play, plug them right into social media and post them. So I think I hammered out the entire month of October's post in like an afternoon, just because the marketing content was already there. So the ABA marketing campaigns are really key for us because a lot of times they really are focused on financial literacy. The Banks Never Ask That is one of the big ones that they have in October. They've also got one coming up called Teach Children to Save, where again, they have all of the marketing pieces already done. They have Get Smart About Credit. They have Safe Banking for Seniors. So a lot of the things that we want to educate our customers on, the ABA provides, and they're probably not the only industry knowledge expert that can provide that kind of stuff. There may be other bankers associations that can provide that turnkey marketing information that you can just share. But I highly recommend finding articles and finding campaigns like this to really teach your customers, because the more you can provide yourself in the market as an industry leader, like, hey, we know this information, we're sharing it with you, we want to educate you. I think it's just better for your relationships and your prospective relationships as well.
Totally. Karey, I heard you say you had the whole month of October covered. Did you go ahead and schedule all those out beforehand?
I did. So that's a really unique piece. Well, maybe not unique, but it is an important part of Denim Social is we can use that to just schedule the post, choose a later date, choose a later time, and then put it in the system, and then, you know, set it and forget it.
Set and forget it. We love it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you for going through that. I'm going to go through again, BOK's approach to some industry knowledge. So where Karey's focusing on some of that banking information or, you know, educational content to consumers, BOK does some similar stuff, but they do a lot of real estate, homeowner interest, because again, this is their mortgage division. So these two examples, these just offer some insight into purchasing, you know, homes in the current market. Something though that I love about their strategy is that they're using our custom content collections. So they have localized folders for their specific regional markets. So they get some really relevant local articles that they can share with their audience in those specific regions. So makes it super easy for those regional teams to come in and find content for Texas, or on the screen, find content for Colorado. I think that's Colorado. You know, it's just going to help them connect specific, like with their specific audience, right? And then in general, just our Denim Social Content Library collections have a ton of industry specific. You can choose all types of industries, from mortgage to banking to wealth to insurance. And so you can really just pick and choose what you're going to share to educate your audiences.
Taylor, you brought up a good point that I forgot to mention, is that custom content or the content libraries. We do source some of our articles from there as well. We're able to find articles relating to banking that we can provide our customers. Also with that content library, one of the neat things about it that we use often is we might uncover an article that we want to share with our audience, but we might not want to share it at that time. So what we'll do is we'll save it into our own folders within the content libraries and go ahead and pre-approve that. Yes. And so then once it's pre-approved and someone's on our side has taken a look at it and they think that it's a worthy article, we can literally post that anytime with just a click of a button.
Perfect. Great insight, Karey. I love hearing how every customer does it, because everybody does it a little bit different. And of course, you're factoring your compliance team into that, where you're like, hey, check out this article, get a second set of eyes on it and prove it for me. And then I'll use it later when it makes sense. Love it. Cool. Awesome. I think we have one last content type, and this is everybody's favorite.
Yes. So the last type of content we're discussing is personal and community content. And this is what really makes social media feel approachable and human. And sometimes regulated industries like finance can seem just very professional and maybe not the most fun, but this is the place to prove that assumption wrong. So here, just think about how you can entertain your audience and bring a smile to their face, whether that's through holiday posts, philanthropy partnerships, or maybe events you're taking part in, it's definitely the space to get creative. So Karey, I know you said this has been a really big part of your bank's strategy and what you guys have been trying to focus on. So we're excited to see your examples.
Great. Well, it didn't always start out this way, but it's probably about 80% of our strategy right now is the personal community side. And I will say, when I first kind of dove into social media here, I kind of felt like candid posts were a little less of a professional image in, you know, a banking, a finance, you know, these regulated industries, just like Connor mentioned. So it kind of seemed really weird to start incorporating this. And we were a little hesitant, but I will say, you know, we slowly started doing things like new hires, like welcome to this employee and welcome to that employee. And we started seeing that they were getting a high interest. And so then we kind of sprinkled in, well, okay, well, we're giving this charitable partner a donation. Let's capture this on social media and post it. And we're like, wow, we're really getting some more engagement here as well. And so then we kind of just kept on expanding. And one of the things that we posted probably about a year ago was a manager was giving a dog treat to a customer's dog in the lobby. And by far, that is our all-time highest reaching post. It showed a lot of engagement. A lot of people liked it. A lot of people shared it. It just shows that we're real, like we're real people that care. And in a community bank like ours, relationships are everything. So the more relational we can be, the better we show the customer, we're here for you, we're engaged for you, this is what we're doing. And so in addition to the new hires, we do promotional announcements when someone gets promoted. You know, we do the community involvement like you see here with the golfers. We participated in a charitable golf tournament and we posted a picture of our team. We do work anniversaries. So each month, that's something new that we've started this year. Each month we highlight whose anniversary it is that, you know, they work for us and they've been here for how long, and this is what they do. So that's kind of unique to our strategy as well. Again, we oftentimes have the bank tellers that give the customers' dogs the treats. And I will say, like, it blows my mind because those really are the highest posts. I don't know if it's just because everyone loves dogs or if it just shows that we're real and we're human and we're here. And, you know, it's not like you pick up a phone or, you know, you do all your mobile banking. We're here for you and we want to be a part of your life. But we show those kind of things and highlight those kind of things, and we seem to see the most success. And we'll also sprinkle in like job postings and holiday observances, you know, to let people know when we're closed or, you know, how we're celebrating the holidays, like you see here with the Happy Valentine's Day. We do National Dog Day, Teller Appreciation Day, or other kind of relevant holidays we think our customers would really engage in. With the National Dog Day, we actually asked our customers to post pictures of their dogs. And so we saw a lot of engagement with that. So when we were talking earlier about a call to action, I know sometimes with the community posts, there's not always a call to action. It's just, hey, look at us. But sometimes when you can do things like the National Dog Day and you're posting pictures of your dog, especially if employees are posting theirs as well, right? You start to get more engagement because people are like, oh, I want to see these dogs. I want to post my dog, you know, I want to be involved. And it's a way to get your customers involved.
I love that, Karey. Something I thought of when you were talking earlier, how do you draw the line or, you know, keep this type of content professional, but still relatable?
So I think we have to, you know, kind of see it. Also, it goes back to our brand guidelines too. We want to make sure that, you know, the things that we're doing all kind of look, feel, and seem the same. But we also use an internal approach so that, you know, even though I'm the one driving the social media on a day-to-day basis, I'm creating the content, we have a team that looks at this and cohesively decides. I say cohesively decides, we only have an approval process of one person other than myself that kind of looks at it, but allows that second chance to make sure that, is this relevant to our audience? Is this consistent with our brand? You know, so that it's not just me going, I think this is consistent, you know, and it, you know, I don't want to be pushing my agenda all the time. You know, I cohesively want to make sure that the bank agrees with the content that we're putting out. So that approval piece, and I think we'll touch on that when we get to compliance, but that allows us to kind of have that second look. Is that what you were asking?
Yes, that's perfect. That's perfect. Something else that you said triggered a memory from the other day. We had another customer say, like, you know, sometime this week is National Banana Bread Day. So we're going to have our customers like send in their banana bread recipes, or National Chili Day, send in your chili recipes or something like that, you know? So just like, it doesn't even have to be like an event. It can be, hey, share with us your favorite X, or share with us a picture,
right,
or, you know, whatever. Cause people love, especially dogs. Everybody loves a dog, but like, you know, they love sharing pieces of them on social media. So I'm glad you brought that up. I love that.
Yes.
Awesome. I'm gonna also go through BOK's approach to some of this personal and community content. So where Karey is focused on First Capital Bank, BOK again kind of has those regional teams that's how they really relate from a community and personal perspective. So, you know, they post events and conferences, but they also spotlight some of their top producers. So, you know, this East region, Oklahoma East region, they highlighted that Karen was a top producer. And then Karen shared her accomplishments and really just wanted to connect with her audience, share that, you know, obviously she's doing a great job, but also just, you know, thanks for your partnership. And, you know, thank you to everybody who's involved in her career. So she's done a great job of using social to drive her business and sharing some of these like personal accomplishments with her audiences. So overall, just showing, you know, even though BOK is kind of has a lot of branches everywhere, a lot of these regional markets really show that they're involved in the community, kind of taking the brand to more regional approach, which it's different, it's interesting. And they're doing a great job of capitalizing on those, not only regional content, like industry content I was talking about before, but also just like the regional team content. All right, so like you alluded to, Karey, I think we need to talk a little bit about, you know, sourcing content plus compliance. So Connor, take us through it.
Yeah, so after seeing these great examples, and as we begin to kind of wrap up, something a lot of people might have questions about is like where you get the content from. Where do you pull it from? How do you make it compliant? Because that's always going to be a big factor in posting for financial services. Just to start, you can always look at our Denim social content collections to find really great industry specific content that'll allow your brand and your end users to select from whatever's going to be appropriate for them. And it can, like I said, be broken down by industry. So you get the most relevant and up-to-date content. And then also original content is really essential, like we've heard. So this is where that more personal and community-based content can come into play. Maybe have your camera ready, you know, anytime you have an event going on or there's something to celebrate around the office. You can snag video clips, maybe design some graphics, just whatever occasion might arise. So some of our customers, you know, have mentioned that they like to keep an album or photos or articles or graphics going, so they have something to share when they need. And we really love the idea also that our customers are connecting to their local communities. So this is also a good place to engage with fellow local businesses to kind of share the love and to create some really exciting content.
So true, Connor. Something that, you know, when you're creating original content, Karey, I'm sure you've already mentioned this, you've got to make sure it's up to brand standards, and also it's compliance approved. So you got to make sure that your compliance team is looped into things, and just that all of your kind of regulatory bases are covered. So Karey, you kind of talked about it a little bit, but can you maybe give everybody an idea of how exactly you kind of built in compliance to the process, and I guess now how you guys are utilizing it every day?
Sure. So we actually built in kind of an approval process prior to even going to Denim Social. So it's just always been part of our strategy here. Again, because I don't want to be the face and name and voice of the bank alone. I feel like it's a collaborative effort, and we have to make sure that, you know, our brand is portrayed the way that we want it to be, with a team of individuals, not just one person. So it's always been part of our strategy, but what allowed us on the Denim Social platform to really utilize this, because before we were doing approvals through email and it was a really, really clunky process. Denim Social allows that chance for us to build workflows. So in general, the way we do it is just one other person has to approve a normal post. But if it's a compliance related post, like an advertisement, or, you know, not a pre-approved advertisement, but or like a keyword. So our compliance department gave us a list of probably maybe 100 keywords, where if any of the posts hit any of those keywords, like mortgage or deposit or loan, those require a second look by the compliance officer, just to make sure that whatever we're saying about a loan or whatever we're saying about a deposit account fits not only with our brand, which is important, but also fits from a compliance standpoint, and that we're monitoring what is being said about those specific keywords. And so those go into a special queue that we're able to build right in Denim Social, and that's part of that keyword filtering. Then it goes to our compliance officer. So not only looking out for the brand, but also looking out to make sure posts and articles are compliant. Because sometimes you may have an article that shares, maybe it has an ad for a different bank on it, or maybe it is related to a different bank. You know, those are obviously things that we wouldn't want to share. So, you know, it's just good to have a second eye.
Totally. Yeah, we see a lot of our customers leveraging those approval workflows, just so you don't have to, you know, go outside and use the email or create Word docs full of content, you know. So it's really nice when you can just add everything and have your compliance team just jump in and approve, right? Awesome. Thank you so much, Karey. Love all of your insight, and, you know, I think you're really helping put into, like, help us envision like what personal and community content can look like and how you guys approach it. Because I know a lot of people struggle to come up with some of that sometimes and really connecting with their audience. So thank you again for joining us and kind of talking us through your approach. Just to sum it up for everybody, you know, it's again really important to post from a variety of sources. So, you know, if you're using Denim Social today, you automatically have access to all of those collections for that industry content. And then get your brand out there, get your brand name out there, make it more human. And then share that personal and community content. And, you know, as far as the mix goes, just, you know, again, listen to what's going on around you and then be adaptable. Make sure that if what you're doing isn't working, just shift and make it work. So that kind of sums it up. Nola, how are we doing for questions coming through?
We have a couple. I just put a little reminder in the chat to place them in the chat if you have any more. I know, Karey, you've shared a lot, and hopefully it's getting everyone's wheels turning and hopefully generating some questions. But I have a couple to get started with, if that's cool.
Yes, please.
And actually, Karey, I'll be honest, this one is kind of for you because it's kind of a boots on the ground question. I have a marketing team of 2 people, and I know I'm very aware of what you just said, that localized content performs better. It's more engaging than when I make a post about reducing credit card debt. So we can talk about dogs or credit card debt, which one of those is more fun, but how do I have time, or how do you find time to create that balance of content across the thought leader industry content and finding times to take photos of the pets getting their dog treats from the tellers? How do you balance that? I'm just going to go ahead and direct that to you, Karey.
Sure. So, you know, oftentimes I'm not like the face of the bank to see what's going on. So what we do is we kind of engage our entire corporate or our entire employee base. Like if something is happening at the branch, because both of the times that I shared about, you know, the dog treats at the teller line or the manager giving the dog treats, I wasn't there. I wasn't present. So someone else took that picture and said, hey, I think this would be great on social media. So I think the more people that you can bring into your vision on social media and just sharing with your entire employee base, like social media is important. This is what we're looking to do. If you see some of this happening, let me know. And so I think it's just kind of a trickle across the organization where people realize that we have an active social media. The golf picture with the golfers, I wasn't there either. Someone said, oh, hey, so-and-so took a picture at the golf tournament, maybe we should put it on social media. So it's kind of getting your own employee base to kind of get the wheels turning for you. They'll do your job for you and it'll be super easy because they'll say, hey, here's content, just post it. And, we'll jazz it up with the logos and the fonts and everything, but they're the ones sourcing that content. And then same thing with articles. We have a lot of employees that will forward articles that are helpful, or, finding articles and either placing them in the content libraries or going ahead and scheduling them. So I think it's like taking intentional time and scheduling those things out, especially with like the national holidays, like National Dog Day. So spend some time the month before, figure out what's happening the next month or what might be relevant in your market, and start planning those things out, and using the scheduling feature is how it's most efficient, I think.
Awesome. I think it's great for the group to hear that from you on how that actually works in real life. And that's kind of a great lead in into the next question. And you kind of alluded to this already, but it's, how do we know that we all live in the digital world where posting in real time and posting quickly, and excuse me, I have a little background noise. Hopefully it's not distracting to anyone. Okay, cool. Thanks, Taylor. We know that we live in this sense of urgency. Like, I need to post right now. That happened right now. I need to post it. But in the financial services world, where we have compliance layers and we may not be able to post natively in real time, and you don't want to post natively in real time, how am I building that bank of localized content? And I think you spoke to that a little bit. And I just wanted to kind of pull that question in and make that connection to what you were saying. You don't have to feel that pressure to post in real time. Communicate with your team so they know, capture the photo and we'll figure it out later. Capture the photo and send it to me later. Capture the moment, let me know what happened, and we'll build it into our schedule. So I don't know if you want to build on that, Karey, or speak to, kind of dig into that a little bit more on how you schedule that in Denim and how you work with those folks to build that into your content calendar later.
I think being a small community bank and having the employees part of this social media vision, they are able to act really responsibly, really fast. So a lot of times that picture is taken same day and we're able to post it same day. I think the golf tournament one might have been posted the same day, but sometimes, like with the teller giving a dog treat, that doesn't have to be a day specific thing. You could literally post that any day. Like maybe you're feeling Friday vibes and you're like, oh, this is super fun. Let me post this today and let me make some cute little thing about it, him making a deposit, so it can just be kind of punchy, it's kind of a mood thing, I guess, too. Your marketing team is like, oh, I feel like posting this today. But a lot of times with those articles, those are super easy to just figure out when they're relevant and go ahead and schedule them. And then, that real-time content that's coming in from your employees, depending on if it is needing to happen, immediately, going ahead and getting your team on board to send that to you pretty quickly. Again, being a little small and having a social media committee and only needing approval from one person on that committee makes it easy to get things out pretty quickly. So if we needed to get things out really quickly, it's just a phone call. Hey, I'm about to put this post up. Can you approve it real quick? So it's kind of just engaging your employees to be part of that. I hope I answered that question enough.
I personally think it aligns to best practice. I think it was a great answer, and I think it's great coming from you. So I think it's a very practical answer. Kind of the way I like to put it is find ways to make your localized content feel evergreen. I think you gave a great example of there's no wrong day to post something about a pet receiving a pet treat from a bank teller. That's my rule is, when all else fails, post something about a pet, because your engagement will skyrocket. And so I love you walked into that easily right away. But you're right, there's no wrong day to post that. Or when you're feeling a little dry, or you feel like you've been a little too serious for a few days, that's a perfect thing. Like, this was from 2 weeks ago, but I'm so glad I have this on hand, because it's going to make us seem timely and provide that personal connection through our social channels. So I think your answer was great. Let me see what else.
Although we haven't seen a lot of opportunity to do this, I would definitely say, like, as things are happening in your community, and I'll take another competitor for example, there was an event here in Charleston this weekend, and they were present at the event and they posted in real time. So I'm not sure who did that, you know, like if they had social media access, or maybe it was posted a few hours later. But I would say keep that in your mind and keep that cognizant, because if something does need to be posted real time, you don't want it to be like a few days later if it's an event that's happening now, or, you know, you're currently in that event. So maybe having some of the people on the ground, you know, ready to respond to those types of events if you're out at a community event, or if you know your employees are going to be out at a community event, say, hey, send me the picture while it's happening so we can get it on social media.
And I love that point. You know, social media does not happen in a vacuum. It's not just you sitting at your desk building out the calendar. It's so collaborative. And I think you've done an awesome job illustrating that for the group, that it's all about communication and bringing in the folks that there are so many folks behind it and you don't know. You know, we don't know who magically gave you that golf photo, but luckily they did. And you had that piece of content that was probably very engaging. So it's all about communication. And I think you've done a great job sharing that for sure. Taylor and Connor, I'm sorry, do you have anything to add? I feel like maybe Karey and I could do a panel. I'm getting very excited about this conversation.
Got it, man. I'm enjoying this, listening.
Cool. Let me see what else has come through. I know we only have a couple more minutes. Don't want to miss anything. Let me check all my spots here. I think we have a couple more here. What about content that comes through that might be too personal? Or have you ever had a situation where you've had to discuss a piece of content on, is this appropriate for our brand channels? Is this appropriate to post on our brand pages? Have we over-indexed on personal and community? Or Taylor and Connor, if you
I would say we've had front-end conversations about that, things that may be a little, maybe political is not the right word, but maybe socially faux pas, or, you know, community and relevant, you know, in kind of the whole realm of the US, or, you know, does it fit our brand? And if it doesn't, well, hold on, I'm tripping all over my words right now, but sometimes the things that are happening we know are important to share, and we have to do it in a way that fits the brand. So a lot of time that thought is happening initially before we even post. So sometimes we overthink and overwork and get everybody's opinions on something prior to us posting. But I've not said that we've had an issue where we've had to like pull a post because it wasn't what we wanted to say. Now there might have been a grammatical error and we had to fix it. But I don't think that there's a situation for us that we've said, oh, maybe we shouldn't have posted that, because a lot of times that is being well thought out ahead of time. So much so that maybe we missed the timeline. We've had that happen before, in the sense that, you know, we're waiting on some people to respond on content that we wanted to post, and we missed the mark. You know, we missed the deadline to do it because the holiday has passed, or, you know, the event has passed and we haven't chimed in.
Yep, that's a great point. And I'll just point out, this is exactly what Connor was saying in the beginning to set the foundation, that this has to fit your broader brand story. So I love that you just shared that, Karey. If it doesn't fit your brand, if it doesn't fit the overall message you're trying to convey, don't post it. And that can be hard too with, you know, you might find a social trend that you've seen. Speaking of the TikTok thing, you know, it's like, oh, this is like all the rage. This is a cool social trend. You sometimes do have to pull back and say, does this actually fit our brand, or are we just following this trend? And sometimes you might want to just try it and see if it works. But that can be tricky in the financial services world as well. So I think that's great, but that's back to the foundation that Connor was setting us up for. That's exactly what you were sharing. I just had one other come through, so bear with me. Let me consume it. I'm muted. This is from BT. I'm going to actually just read it. So BT, thank you for this long question. I'm just going to read it. Hey, Karey, it's great to see you again. You look great. I love what I'm seeing you and your team doing on LinkedIn and social media in general. When we first chatted about implementing a social selling program for First Capital Bank, especially your commercial lenders, we created a vision about what it would look like. It's been over a year now, and what are your overall thoughts on implementing the program, and did it align with your vision? I'm going to finish this and we'll break it out. Was there any pushback from your team? Any struggles getting it going? And is there anything we could have done better or could do better to ensure a better experience for you and your team?
Overall, I can't say anything negative about the experience. The customer success team has been an important element, I think, in getting us not only off the ground, but keeping us engaged through this entire year that we've had, because we started in 2021. So keeping that connection with Denim Social has allowed us to, really utilize the product, provide feedback. I know that we don't always use it in the ways that is intended to use, like the commercial lenders or, for your insurance agents where you're posting content on their behalf. We don't necessarily take our loan officers and post content on their behalf. I know it's an option, and I think it's a valuable option. It's just we're not quite there yet. So, I know we don't use it in that way, but I do think that that is important. And then you guys also have the advertising platform where you're running ads on behalf of the customers or the bankers, and you're able to measure those advertising campaigns, which is something that we'll look at using in the future as well.
Awesome. I think you covered all of those elements to that.
Oh, back to the team and how they took on to it. So they fully trusted me in this process, which has been really great. I know that when we rolled it out, why do we need this platform? And, I reminded them that this is going to be a lot easier to, meet what we want to do and to post what we want to do. So we're not directly posting on Facebook, and it's not a one-person show. And so I think they got on board. Sometimes the compliance stuff really throws people for a loop. Like, why am I having to approve this post? This seems so easy to post. Like, why can't you just post it? I'm like, I really appreciate you trust me that much with the brand, but I personally want someone else to look at it as well. Because again, I don't want to be the entire face of the organization as far as the brand goes. So I have to remind them that this is not just me, it's, our bank and our brand. So I want to pull people in on that vision and making sure that, everyone agrees with what I'm posting. So even though, they get frustrated sometimes with having to approve posts, I think it's still an important part.
Totally.
Awesome. Well, I think we're at time. Karey, thank you so much for answering that one. Taylor, I'll let you take it away to kind of close us out for the afternoon.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Nola, for teeing up all of those questions. As I was sharing my screen, appreciate having you here. And Karey, we appreciate you so much. Thank you for taking the time to share everything, anything and everything, right? I know that our customer base is going to get so much out of this, and I know that we did. I know we had a lot of our team on, and I'm sure they learned a ton from you. So thank you again.
Right.